Welcome to LSC, it's sports time. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Today I have with me Milan Brown, who is a current head coach over at Holy Cross, but played ball at Kecoughtan High School. Welcome.
Oh, good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Had your dad in here and was just pleased with your dad. He did a great job. And we talked about you and your brothers. But I want to go back and when you first started playing ball. I imagine your dad had a lot to do with you getting into ball.
Absolutely, yeah. He did some things for us. Obviously, he was still involved with the community, still coaching with us. Some of the times he coached some of the teams I was involved with, a lot more the teams I was involved with than my brothers.
Right.
But we played at Fox Hill, we played in the Phoebus leagues, and that was really where it all started. It's funny how when you start to get into high school, all the same kids that we played against, it was the same guys that were playing at Hampton and Bethel, and even some of the Newport News kids in Warwick and back then Ferguson. So yeah, right. It was very competitive then. It was very competitive.
Right, but you didn't just play basketball. Now that's what you ended up with. But right. You played a lot of baseball and football. Because I remember you was a wideout, if I remember, on the Kecoughtan football team.
Absolutely, and it's funny because nowadays it's a little bit different than maybe even I sound old, but when we played, you pretty much played everything.
Right.
So growing up, we played football, baseball, and basketball. We played soccer, all those type of things, and I think it helps you be a total athlete, to tell you the truth. And it taught you different ways really to be tough.
Well, and I've always looked at it that there's a lot of carryover stuff that you can use from one sport to the other that you may not get.
Absolutely.
I mean, be it basketball or soccer or whatever, because Earl Monroe was a great soccer player.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know him because they just know him as being a pro basketball,
like
and down at Winston-Salem is a great basketball player.
Like not knowing that Jim Brown was very great and a great lacrosse player.
Right. So there's some carryover stuff that I think you get. So as a youngster, I think you need to be involved in a lot of different things. Would you not agree with that?
Absolutely. And then what it also teaches you to do, it teaches you to think on your feet, because you're going to have to know some different rules and regulations of how to play.
Right.
And playing different positions. And maybe in some situations, say somebody's very good in basketball, but you're not one of the better players on your baseball team. So it also teaches you how to be a better teammate, because in football, you may say, well, when I played rec league, I was the quarterback. And now you go to baseball and they say, what do you bat? And you say, I hit ninth and I play right field. So it may be a little bit different.
Yeah, it is. But you went to Kecoughtan and actually you started playing JV ball before you went to Kecoughtan.
Yeah, when I was playing at Eaton Middle School, I actually was on the JV basketball team when I was in the 8th grade. So
who was your coach then? You remember?
Ham. Steve Ham was my coach.
Right.
And so what happened was my mother was actually teaching at Eaton, so the school would finish and she shipped me over to Kecoughtan and we go play.
Well, so they knew where you were, didn't they?
Right, they knew exactly where I was. So it was very good, just a chance to get that experience. So I played with the JV team from the 8th grade and the 9th. So it was great to get involved in young. Even then, in the 9th grade, once I first got to Kecoughtan, I played varsity football, but I was only the punter. And they needed somebody to punt. So at that point in time, hey, I could catch and kick, so they said, come on, sign you up and get out of here.
We're not going to give you the ball except to kick it. Right. Then you, after your 9th grade, then you became, you started playing with Coach Conrad.
Right.
That had to be, everybody that I've talked to, and I knew Coach Conrad, what a wonderful human being. Absolutely. That had to be really something now that you can look back on. All the times he made you to run the wind sprints.
Yeah, Coach Conrad was always a defense-first guy, and he had some really good players come before him. Billy Cole's player, one of the guys who I kind of learned a little bit from playing. Obviously, it was Ray Washington that played before me, and but it was great playing for him because the great thing about Coach Conrad is where you knew exactly where you stood with him. He didn't pull any punches with you. He was very honest with you, and that's the only thing. That's one of the things I'm taking with me now is it's better just to be upfront and honest with your kids. If they know where you're coming from and know that it's coming from your heart, then you can, the wind sprints then don't matter because the kid's not wondering why we're doing this. You know exactly why we're doing it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's not just you, it's everybody doing it.
Absolutely.
Then you have a great career at Kecoughtan. You end up playing football and basketball, but you went to the football, went to the basketball. Right. I got recruited to at Howard.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that recruiting process, all what you had to go through.
Yeah, well, it was interesting because I actually nowadays it's still the same. You either sign early in November or you sign late in April afterwards. And I actually signed late. And So I had about 3 or 4 schools I was looking at. My father took me around to see some places. I did some official visits. At the time, A.B. Williamson was the coach there.
Right.
And actually, the way it got worked out was that one of the schools that was looking at me was Campbell in North Carolina.
Right.
Well,
Boone's Creek.
Right. Randy Peel, who's the head coach at Winthrop now. Randy was assistant coach.
Okay.
And Randy, they ended up taking someone else from Tidewater. And so Randy called Ron Curtis, who was assistant coach at Howard, who used to play at Campbell, and said, listen, there's a point guard down here you guys need to look at. We can't take him. And so that's how we got turned on to Howard University. Okay. And obviously playing the AAU that summer was big, just to get a chance for people to see me playing with Boo Williams. And we had a great team playing with Lonzo and Brian Stith. And,
playing with Boo in AAU had to give you some experience playing against some real good athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. It was some of the times, because our team was so good, we get into the games, and practice sometimes was harder than the games. I mean, it's just, as you can imagine, one of my good friends is Kevin Swan, and Kevin and I were on the same team. We all played on Boo's team, and we maybe didn't play as much, and understandably so. A guy like Cornell Parker, who played at Virginia, and Terry Kirby. Well, that happened to be our point guard and our 2 guards. So kind of Kevin and I are looking around going, where do we fit in?
Where do we fit in?
Type of thing. So,
but next to each other.
Right, exactly. But it was great. But it was great to go see those guys. And that was when it really started to get big, going to California and Vegas and Florida, playing all those tournaments. And still to this day with Boo, every time I see him, and I know the one challenging team they'll have, I say, you haven't had a team as good as that one that we assembled. And I said, we had a couple of guys that didn't even play on that team that really could have easily been on. A guy like Steve Artis, who played at Ferguson. I mean, we had, so I mess with Iverson and those guys when I see him. I said, man, we had guys that didn't even play on the team that would have beat you guys.
Tell me a little bit what it was like at Howard University, because now you're going to was it the Patriot League then too?
Well, that one was we played in the MEAC, so we were in the MEAC, and it was a great experience because for me it was a little bit differently. Obviously, growing up in Hampton, Howard University was a school in the city, and it's a predominantly black school.
Right.
So, and it's literally in the city. When you leave out of the dorm room, you're on Georgia Avenue. You're in the city, and I wasn't used to that.
Right.
So, but it was a great chance for me to grow up, and the people there really took care of me. Like I said, A.B. Williamson recruited me, and he was let go after his first year. But I had a great time playing for Butch Beard, and one of the assistant coaches for him was Jerry E. So I learned a lot from those guys, and it was great because both of those guys were NBA. Butch won the '76 championship with Rick Barry at Golden State.
Right.
Ease played with the Utah Jazz. He was on the national championship team with Duncanstein, Griffin, and all those guys from Louisville.
Right.
So it was great. I learned a lot about basketball, but I think more so I learned even more about life. They were more so, they took the torch from how my father was with us.
Okay.
And so I think my father felt really comfortable with me being there.
And you evidently felt comfortable being there.
Absolutely.
And grew not only in stature of basketball, but as a human being, which is what you, as a parent, you hope that happens.
Which is the biggest thing. And that was one of the things where the coaches that I've been involved with, playing for and coaching under, they all were good men. And they all were about teaching kids to do the right thing when somebody's looking at you and when somebody's not looking at you.
Right.
And so I think that was what I was blessed to be a part of at Howard University. So some of the things that Butch did, whether it be hollering or wind sprints or doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, it was the same things I heard from my father. It was the same things I heard from Reeves Conrad. It was good. It was a very good experience, and it was a great experience. Just I got a degree from a great prestigious university at Howard University, and also my junior year, lucky enough that we won the MEAC and went to the NCAA tournament. So I couldn't ask for anything better.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, you graduated and came back and started coaching. Your first gig was at Kecoughtan High School.
Yeah, and it was funny. I asked Coach Beard, I said, I think I want to go into coaching. Of course, my father coached at Hampton when it was Hampton Institute.
Right.
And at first, of course, he's like, I don't know if you want to do that. The business is crazy. And then Butch had been in it so long, in the pros and college. And I guess he was right. He said, you know what? You just might be crazy enough to do this. So I got into coaching, and then I said I want to start out. And so Coach Conrad said, hey, come back and help me out. And at that time, you needed to be in the school, and I wasn't in yet. It was trying to be a substitute teacher. Right. So it was funny. When I started out, I would go to the gym on away games and home and try to get there about 30 minutes before the game because I'd have to sit in the stands just like a paying customer. I couldn't sit on the bench. So I'm hollering from the stands like I'm a parent of 13 kids. I can remember one time we played Hampton and Coach Brown was like, "You can't do that. That's not." But he got me involved, and Coach Conrad was really instrumental in me trying to be a coach. He tried to do everything he could. The games that you guys televised.
Right.
Anytime he would push me in front of the camera to try to give me some experience and doing that. And then in the summers, obviously, as you know, that I started coaching and doing the thing with Boo Williams.
Right. Yeah. You had a couple of players on that Kecoughtan team that you knew pretty good.
Yeah, pretty decent. My two younger brothers, Brock and Marseille, so I knew them a little bit. And that was a
little bit surreal.
Yeah, it was an interesting dynamic just because I wanted to see them do so well, but we're all competitive. So I tried to go in every day saying I'm going to be the coach and you guys are the players, and obviously that line always got blurred. And then, as my father could attest to, coming home, dinner could be interesting sometimes because he wanted to know what happened after the game. So, but it was very special. I treasure that. That might have been the most enjoyable time I had, to tell you the truth, coaching, just because. We got as far as the state quarters or semifinals, I think, and at that time we ended up losing to Churchland, but. Getting a chance to coach with both of them was great. And then Morocco left and went on to NC State. And then when I coached Marseille his last year with Brett Harper and Acilio Abraham and those guys, we got to the state championship game and lost to Potomac.
Yeah.
So it was great. It was great.
Tell me a little bit about after there, because then you went to
Old Dominion.
Old Dominion. You was over
Jeff Cable.
Jeff Cable. And good coach.
Absolutely.
Did a great job at Old Dominion.
Yeah, no question. And it was funny because he actually, which is when you're trying to get into coaching, you don't know which direction you should go.
Right.
And because you're trying to get any type of exposure that you can. And so it was funny that Jeff actually saw me coaching for Boo because I was coaching the 17 and under and helping Boo. And at that time, Jason was in the 9th grade. And their team was Jason and Ronald Curry and all those guys. Right. So when we would play games, he said he'd watch sometimes to see how we were doing. And I got the job with Jeff as being in the right spot at the right time. Was working camp. And Bobby at the time was assistant coach. Bobby went over to Hampton University to be assistant. And Jeff pulled me aside in the middle of the week and said, "I got a job. You want to coach?" So at that time,
right place, right time.
It was a restricted earnings spot, so it worked out because you couldn't get paid for so much. But since I was from Hampton, I figured I'd feed still off mom and dad at the house.
The place to eat and to sleep.
Right. So, but it was great.
You spent a couple years there, and then you went to
Mount St. Mary's.
Mount St. Mary's.
So it was great going a chance of being with Jeff Cable, obviously, and then I got a chance to go to Mount St. Mary's and work under Coach Jim Phelan, who ended up at the end of the day coached 49 years at Mount St. Mary's. He has 830 wins. He's in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, and we're still waiting for him to get into the Naismith Hall of Fame. So it went there for 3 years. And so it was great to learn under a guy with so many wins. And obviously Mount St. Mary's has been Division II, then he went Division I. And so it was a great experience to be there with Coach Phelan.
Right. Then where'd you go?
Then I went back and came back home. And I guess as Old Dominion would probably say coach for the enemy, I was at William & Mary. And so at the time when I was at William & Mary, it was a great job get to come back. The new coach was Rick Boyages. And Rick actually is one of the higher ups now for the Big Ten dealing with the officials. Right. But at the time, Rick was an assistant coach who just got the job. He was at Ohio State and Boston College. And so he was Coach Scooney Penn and Michael Redd and all those guys. So I thought it was great to get a chance to come back. Again, just a chance meeting. He was looking for somebody. And guys that were working with Boo's program, one of the guys instrumental in that was Harry Rest. And Harry said, "Hey."
But that doesn't come out much. When I talk to Boo and I talk about, all the players and everything, but he has helped some guys get good onto coaching.
Absolutely. And
which doesn't get recognized.
Boys and girls.
Yeah.
I mean, his program is so big and it's so instrumental. It just gives you another vehicle to have some great exposure. And because his programs are successful, not just because he's won national championships with boys and girls, not but winning tournaments, but some of the people that he's been able to be involved with and churn out. And I'm pretty sure Boo would say part of that is with him, but part of that is with the community too, just trying to take care of their own.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about the next steps you went on until you then became the head at.
Right. When I went to William & Mary, I went back. Coach Phelan called me, and he knew he was probably at the end of the line, so he brought me back for a year as an associate head coach, and basically said, "Come on back." And it was really a handshake. You have my word that when I step down, and you're going to get it. And the Mount St. Mary's people deemed fit to say, hey, bring the young guy up. So it was great. I said, I'm 32 years old. I had coaching experience, but not head coaching experience. And they said, this is great. What are you doing? I'm taking over for the guy who has 830 wins. So, hey, how's everybody doing?
What a pair of shoes to have to fill.
Absolutely.
All right, so now you're going in as your first head job. What's your philosophy? How did you develop your philosophy?
Well, from the first thing I did was just try to draw back on all my experiences. Obviously working under Coach Conrad and playing for him, playing for Butch Beard, working under some great coaches like Jeff Capel Sr. and Rick Boyages, and then obviously under Coach Phelan, but also even the times when I played and coached with Boo. So I just tried to draw from all those things. And the biggest thing, maybe my biggest influence, even though playing, is my father. And I've seen him. And so I just said, I'm going to run the program that I'm involved with like my father ran my household. When you're doing good, I'll tell you you're doing good some of the times. I don't want you to get too excited because I'm afraid you may stop doing good. So I'll pat you on the back every so often and tell you you're doing all right. If you're not doing good, I'm going to tell you you're not doing good right then and there. And depending on how I tell you, it may not be the way you like it, but it'll be honest and from the heart. Then I'm going to give you a hug, show you what you need to do in order to get better, and we're going to work together so we all can get better from this. So, and this, just try to be as upfront and as honest as possible from there. And then, as you know from coaching, that the styles of play may switch depending on the personnel.
Right, but your philosophy.
But the philosophy about just being upfront with the kids, just having their best interests at heart. My father told me a long time ago, and I'm at home now, as you know, and home for a couple of days, and somebody's going to call that played for Bethel in '78 or played for Hampton in '82. And my father always told me, you know that you did right by the kids if they call when it's over. When they leave, if they call, you did right. Now, if nobody calls when it's over, you weren't doing something right.
Yeah, because your dad was coaching over Bethel when I was over there.
Right,
he was
absolutely.
With Coach Kaz, and that's when I really got to know your dad, and just what a fine man he was. And you knew, like you say, you knew where you stood with him.
You knew where you stood.
There was no
and he had
shadows, no agenda.
And some of this time, the life now is so it's too short to kind of be that way. And so that's the way we grew up. And then the people I dealt with and played with when I was younger, like we talked about earlier, Kevin Swan, a guy that I grew up playing with and against all the way from we were 8 to 18, 20 years old till he married myself. Introduced me to my wife and married us. Dealing with people like that, it's just, you understand that that's just the way it should be. Because it's life. It's going to be ups and downs. But if you're upfront and honest with everybody else, usually it ends up working out.
And how long were you at Mount St. Mary?
I was a head coach there for 7 years. And then we had some success, which was great. Got a chance to take a team to the NCAA tournament in 2007-08 season. And then the following year, we lost in the championship game. And so the year afterwards, I had opportunity to go and coach at Holy Cross, where I am now, and just finished my first season there. And so the Lord's been good to us. We
were talking earlier. There's a couple of alumni, and I just bring up these names because I happen to run across them. But you've been talking to them. And we're talking about Bob Cousy, who not only graduated from Holy Cross, but was awesome with the Celtics. And then Tommy Heisen, another one who went to the Celtics and now is doing broadcasting.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great. I told my wife, it was funny, I got the job in like the April 15th or the 16th, and it started officially on May 1st. And I get my cell phone after a week there, and I'm laughing because one of the people involved with Holy Cross gave me Bob Cousy's number, and I'm looking at my phone going, now who would have thought that 2 weeks ago I'd say, I have Bob Cousy's home number on my phone. So,
I got him on speed dial.
And I'll see Tommy Heisen here in a couple of weeks at their 55th reunion that they're having. So it's great. It's a great place because, as you know, the academic standards are so high. It's such a great college. It's a great college. Anybody that leaves there with a degree, you would probably want to put money down that they're going to be successful. Because they're being challenged in the classroom. But it doesn't change on the athletic side. And so they love competitive people. And they love people that want to do some bigger and better things in life. So the guys like Tommy Heisen and Bob Cousy obviously are a testament to that because they went on and obviously they did things at the top of their game in basketball. But, they're great people. They're great people. And I'm not just saying that about Cousy because he has a statue in front of our gym. He's actually a really good guy. We had a tough season this year a little bit, but he wrote me a note, handwritten note, because he goes to Florida in this winter, and handwritten note telling me just hang in there. we're hearing great things about you. We know you're going to turn the program around and get us in the direction we're supposed to go in. And then he threw in there his record when he was coaching at Boston College.
Yeah.
And I saw him, and like a few days later, I said, your winning percentage was like 75%. Like, that wasn't as encouraging as it needed to be. So, but it's great. It's great to be around those guys.
Right. All right. Now, one last thing we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. You're sitting in a house with a student athlete and his parents. Sell Holy Cross to me.
Well, the biggest thing I would start off with is the academic portion. It's such a great college, as I said. It's a liberal arts school. It's 2,800 students. It's in the city of Worcester, so you get a chance to be a student on campus, but there's a city very close, so you get a chance to live both lives.
Okay.
And the degree you're going to receive from there is going to be second to none. You're going to get challenged not only from our end on the basketball end, but you're going to get challenged in the classroom. And there's some great alums that come through there. Our annual giving from our alums is 53%. The national average is 11%. So it tells you that they love the place that they come from. Right. And then as far as with the athletic part, we only tell the kids 3 things. I tell this to every recruit that I've ever recruited. There's only 3 things I'm going to do. You're going to graduate. You'll be a better basketball player when you leave here than when you came in. And more so for the parents than the kid, I'm going to take care of your son. I have a daughter that's 5 and another one that's 3, Nyla and Sanaa. So I understand that at some point in time, somebody's going to have to help me with my most prized possession. Right. So I'm going to do that for your son here. He's going to be left in good hands. And the last thing is, we're going to win, whether you come here or not. I just think I can win more with you than without you. So now the question is, you going to play for me?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Great to be here.
I want to thank you for tuning in to LSC and Sports Time. I want to thank my special guest, Milan Brown. I'm your host, Bob Hens. Until next time.
This is Milan Brown, former Kecoughtan Warrior. You're watching LSC, all sports, all the time.